You're about to meet a guy going to a routine job during the week, church on Sundays, and then one day, out of the blue, a SWAT team surrounds his suburban home.
The Bureau of Criminal Apprehension was working a high-profile cold case, and he would soon become one of the 3 suspects. To this day, we don't know exactly how the victim died. We do know there are questions about whether law enforcement went looking for convictions at any cost. Here now, Fox 9 investigator Trish Van Pilsen.
A long, long time ago, I can still remember how that music used to make me smile.
A long time ago.
Yeah, that was a long time ago.
Ron Michaels and Ken Miller became friends in 9th grade.
Yeah, it brings back old memories, doesn't it?
The least likely guy to be in trouble or cause trouble.
Michaels would become a star athlete, the homecoming king, and oh, so much later, a murder suspect.
What they did needs to be examined.
Their fresh-faced pictures are right near each other in the Buffalo Bison yearbook.
There
you are.
Decades later, their pictures are in another book. Ken would write it. Ron had to live it.
I figured out they're arresting me for something I didn't do.
Ron has never talked to the media before. He's not doing it to promote the book. He's doing it to get another hometown guy out of prison.
Yeah, I think there's a big injustice, and Terry Olson should be free. He should be free because he did not do anything. None of us did.
It was August 10th, 1979. Michaels would end up at a party in the small town of Montrose with Terry Olson, Jeff Hammill, and Dale Todd. At some point, Jeff Hammill wants a ride home to Buffalo, but nobody's offering. He leaves on foot. At 4 a.m., a passerby finds him dead on the side of County Road 12. He has a massive head injury. The coroner rules cause of death is undetermined. There are no footprints or a sign of a scuffle. It could be a hit-and-run crash, but perhaps it's a crime. Wright County Sheriff's officers interview the people who last saw Hammill. That includes the 3 guys, Ron Michaels and best friends Terry Olson and Dale Todd. And they talked to a couple who saw a Chevy Impala stopped on the road that night. Dale Todd drives an Impala.
Well, they bring it in the impound.
This is Dale Todd being interviewed by investigators from the BCA's Cold Case Unit in 2003. The unit reopened the case 24 years after the fact, when a daughter Hammill had given up for adoption wanted to know more about how her birth dad had died. Dale Todd tells the investigators that at the time, police searched his car.
They tore the seats out of it. They tore it all apart. They took the tire iron. They took the baseball bat. You know, anything that could be used as a weapon, they analyzed all that. You know, well, there was blood in here on the bat, but it wasn't mine or his.
But there's no hell's Hamill's blood.
No, they told me it wasn't. They threw everything inside the car and told me to go.
Suspect Dale Todd told the cold case investigators that back in '79, cops couldn't tie anything in his car to Hamill's death, so they gave everything back to him and let him go. Decades passed, the 3 men went on with their lives. The BCA Cold Case Tag Team has a tough job. It's been more than 20 years since Hammill died. It's their job to solve this case, but how far can they go to get a confession? The man who would be Michael's attorney happens to be a former cop.
When I went to interrogation schools where they taught that technique.
Attorney Fleming says this videotape shows the cold case detectives lied to Dale Todd to convince him to turn against the 2 other suspects, including Fleming's client, Ron Michaels.
In this situation, however, they piled false information on top of false information on top of false information. Okay? The way that it was done in this situation was wrong.
For instance, he says,
this is what we got. We got your car, we got the bat, we got the blood, we got the hair, we got all those things. We got the hockey sticks. We got all those things. My God, you know, the pieces, they keep falling and then...
They didn't have a bat that had hair and blood on it, and they knew that. That wasn't a projection of what they anticipated they were going to find out later. They had already received a report from the crime lab that indicated that was not the case.
There's more that bothers Fleming. It's how the cold case detectives get Dale Todd to identify his client, Ron Michaels, whom Todd had never met before that night.
I don't know no Ron. This Ron Michaels, I don't know who he is. I gotta know who this Ron is. Is that a picture or?
Yes, they do, as a matter of fact. The interrogation wears on.
I'm scared. Because I'm thinking that I'm being trapped into something that I didn't do.
There's no traps here, Dale. There's no traps at all.
But I'm confused and I'm scared and my chest hurts.
Before Todd can finally leave the locked room, he will tell the interrogators Terry Olson and Ron Michaels must have killed Jeff Hammill.
This right here comes in my head to where he's swinging something. And that's all I got. And I could be wrong.
He initially agrees to return the next day, but after consulting an attorney, changes his mind. According to later court testimony, the officers find him, pull him over, and threaten Todd, now faced with 25 years in prison.
It's just not right. It's not right. It should never happen, and we can't allow it to happen.
The Fox 9 investigators have reviewed usually secret grand jury testimony. Remember that couple who saw the car? Then Lieutenant and now Sheriff Joe Haggerty testified they saw, quote, a green Chevrolet car, dark green, parked on the side of the road, right where we found Hamill's body. It is this testimony that seems to positively link Todd's car to the scene. Problem is, they did not say they saw a green car. They did not describe a color at all.
They violated one of the cardinal rules of law enforcement investigation. Instead of letting the evidence lead them to the perpetrators, they picked their perpetrators and then tried to find evidence that they could use.
Fleming spent every waking hour on this case. The one thing the couple did specifically describe was the shape of the taillights they saw. Fleming found an expert who testified Todd's Impala did not have the odd-shaped taillights. His make and model had rectangular ones. He also talked to people who say law enforcement pressured them and misstated what they said in their reports.
All of these people came back to me angry. You know, I was intimidated. They put words in my mouth over and over and over again.
Prosecutors offered Olson a deal if he would testify against Michaels. He said no. Todd did agree to testify and cut a deal for time in the county jail. In Michaels' trial, he got on the stand and started to blame Olson and Michaels, but when it mattered most,
he said, he didn't do it. None of us did it.
Up on that witness stand, Todd threw away his chance at a lenient sentence and told the jurors,
I was scared because I was just a young kid when all this happened. And they're coming to me and telling me that I'm the one that did this, and they've got this baseball bat, and somebody saw my car out there. And then pretty soon they're telling me that if they don't tell the story that they want me to tell, I could go to prison for the rest of my life. And he said, so I lied. And then he said, but I can't do it anymore. There's been enough harm, there's been enough damage, I can't do it anymore.
I know the prosecuting attorney turned to our attorney and said, that's Perry Mason. I said, no, it's God. You know?
It took the jury just 17 minutes to find Michaels not guilty. Unable to make $1 million bond, he had sat in jail for a year, the homecoming king in shackles.
It went wrong from the beginning. I think they tried to pin it on whoever they could. As the honest truth.
Miller closes his book, The Bison King, with this line. We must not allow those with so little regard for freedom to abuse the authority we give them. Now there is the matter of Terry Olson.
Terry Olson is in Stillwater Prison, convicted of second-degree murder. A handful of jailhouse snitches testified against him. Some said he bragged of the crime. Dale Todd said he didn't want to get back on that witness stand and testify against Olson, but was told he'd face more jail time if he didn't. I'm Trish Van Pilsum for the Fox 9 Investigators.